Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar this afternoon. We're talking about the mastering payments in Dental4Web. Just a bit of housekeeping before we start. This session is being recorded. So if you want to come back and watch it, you'll receive an email after this session with a link to the recording. Everybody's in listening mode. We do have a chat. So what I'd like you to do, if you could just put in the chat or in the Q&A, your name and where you're from, what practice you're from, and possibly even your position at the practice. Just want to make sure that the chat is working and the Q&A is working. Hello, Amy. Hello, Olga. Hello, Sarah, Kat, Kesha, Chloe, Amanda. Hello, Kat from Rutherford Dental. Thank you. So I can see the chat's working. Fantastic. Okay, so at the end, we'll also have a time when we can answer any questions, but by all means, feel free to put something into the Q&A while we're going through, and we can answer questions as we go along. So topics we're going to cover today is treatment color. So the color of treatment items, how to take a payment and apply discounts, creating and allocating deposits, payment plan installations, and also processing refunds. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to transfer to my colleague, Isabella, who will take you through those.
Thank you, Neil. I'm just going to share my screen and let me know once you can see it. Okay, we good?
Yes,
Neil,
you can see
okay,
your screen.
perfect. Well, welcome everyone. There's a lot of familiar names in the chat that I know of, so it's great to see you all here. As Neil mentioned, we're going to be covering quite a bit on payments today. So feel free to use the chat or the question box as I go along, and I'll do my very best to answer questions along the way. Otherwise, I'll answer them at the very end. So to get started, we're going to be talking about the different colors of lines when processing an invoice in your treatment. So I'm going to use my test patient here, Phil, and I'm going to go into my treatment details. Okay, so we'll kick off first, which is our grey color, which I know you're all very familiar with. So when you are processing a health fund patient or a patient that is not in a health fund, when we click our new invoice button, regardless if they are in a health fund or not, once we receive the payment and the invoice is then paid in full, okay, we will then click create or print and the treatment line will then go grey. Grey being that the invoice has been completely paid. There will be a situation, for example, if a patient comes in for an emergency or whatever the reason may be, and they are not able to pay the invoice upfront, okay? You still need to make sure that you're not leaving this treatment line yellow. So see how I can click it? We need to create a record on the patient's file that the invoice is outstanding. So to create an invoice to make it outstanding, we come up to our new invoice button. They are not going to be paying today. However, we are going to just create the invoice so that the system recognizes that this patient has $20 of outstanding treatment. You can see that the treatment line has gone red, and down the bottom right of our screen, we've got an outstanding balance of $20. we will do a pink line. So pink being part paid. Whatever the situation may be, the patient is not going to pay the full amount. They're going to pay part of their invoice. Now, it doesn't need to be directly half of how much the invoice is. It could even be as little as $1. Again, I come up to my new invoice button. I'm going to click receive payment. And for argument's sake, I'm just going to do $1 and my payment method. I don't want to confuse you now, and I will go over auto allocating payments down the track. However, I am going to untick this box. So if a particular patient has 2 invoices outstanding under their account, the system will automatically place this $1 on the first invoice that is outstanding. Now I'm going to untick auto allocate, and I'm going to place that $1 here just so I can show the difference in colors, and I will click create. Okay, so just to recap, we've got gray, which is completely paid. We've got red, which is the whole invoice is outstanding. And then you've got pink, which is partly paid. There is a purple. Typically, you would see purple when you are lodging a Medicare claim. So I'm going to just lodge a Medicare claim to show you the color. I'm just going to change my fee level, and I'm going to come down and change my insurance. I will then come and add my Medicare item number. I will then come up to my new invoice. I'll select Medicare. Not applicable. I will click submit. And during this time, the Medicare claim will then go through on your HiCaps machine. Once it's been successful, you'll see this pop up. And then I will click exit or save, it doesn't matter. And then you will see your purple. Okay, purple being that there is a claim associated to that particular invoice. Sometimes, as I said, you'll see the purple if it's a Medicare claim, or you may see a purple if you're putting through, for example, a crown and the patient is going to pay half of it at the prep appointment and the other half at the cement appointment. Or you may see purple if the claim is stuck or has gone through but hasn't actually gone through on the HiCaps machine. So just so you understand, purple being that there is a claim associated to that particular invoice. Okay, and then we've got our yellow, which is untouched essentially. So nothing has been created or actioned against that particular invoice. Okay, perfect. I am now going to go through taking a payment and applying a discount. So we'll use this item number here. I will just make it a bit extra. And I'm going to change my fee level back to standard. And my health fund. Perfect. So to take a payment with a discount, again, we will come up to our new invoice. Just bring this to the middle for you guys. If the patient is not in a health fund, your screen will look something like this. You can add a discount by percentage or amount. And once you've added that discount, you will then click receive payment, and the system will then generate how much the patient owes you. However, for this example today, I will show you what it's like with a health fund. You can apply a discount before processing a health fund claim. The system will automatically send through the initial amount and then apply the discount after the gap has been generated. So I will say today I'm going to give a $5 discount. When I click HiCaps, this amount of $36.75 will be sent through to the HiCaps machine. And once the claim has been processed, the discount will then be applied to the gap. Perfect. So my balance is $18.37. It's showing you on the screen. Then when I come to receive payment, just make sure you're looking at, sorry, ignore the first three lines because of the outstanding invoices, but see how the pop-up said 1837. However, the actual closing balance is 1337 because I initially applied that $5 discount prior to claiming from the health fund. So you might find that you look at the screen and see that 1837 and mentally you've registered that and then you've written 1837. And when you go and create the receipt, you might find that the patient is in a deposit of $5 because you actually haven't been looking at what the closing balance is. It's just like if you're taking a 10% discount, sometimes you're looking at what the pop-up is, not actually looking at what the closing balance is. So just making sure you're always triple checking your closing balance because that is how the discount has been generated. Okay, so I'm going to overwrite this to 1337. I will then select my payment type as cash. And again, with this auto allocate, if patients are in a family together or one patient has more than one outstanding invoice, by default, the system is going to place that 1337 on the first outstanding invoice. I want to untick my auto allocate and I want to say put that 1337 onto this last invoice. And once I click create, you'll notice that this last treatment line has been paid. Okay. Before I move on, are there any questions regarding the auto allocation? Because I know it's a little bit of a tricky one to wrap your head around initially, and I don't want to feel like I'm jumping and confusing anyone. So please ask questions before I move on. Aga, yes, you can. So Aga asked, can we apply a discount after we've claimed? Yes, you can. I will show you how to do that. So if I'll type my 011, let's just make it $100 to make it a nice flat figure. Again, I'll come to my new invoice. We're not going to apply a discount at the moment. We're just going to purely claim for the $100 with our high caps. Okay, so the high caps has paid $50. The patient is due to pay $50. Now, you can apply a discount in this invoice window here. However, if you're wanting to give a percentage discount, this will not apply the percentage for you. So either you can figure out the percentage gap and apply the discount, or when you click your receive payment, type in your $50. Okay, I'm going to untick auto allocate. I'm going to place the $50 here. And notice now these two boxes, so your dollar amount and your percentage amount, are now yellow. So they are now clickable, whereas the other ones are not. In this little box here, I can apply, for example, a 20% discount. So the patient is due to pay $40 minus 10. Okay, so the discount is $10. And then I can overwrite this amount to 40. And notice when I click tab over here, the closing balance will now change to 0. Oh, sorry, it didn't. And $40 cash, that's the amount due because we're giving a 20% discount. I will then click create. Oh, closing balance can't be negative, sorry. I'm overriding that $50 to 40. My closing balance is now 0. I will then click create. So yes, you can apply a discount after a high caps claim. However, it is a little bit more fiddly. I would just recommend applying a discount before processing your health fund claim because again, the system will then give you that discount with the gap amount. Okay, Perfect. Any more questions regarding discounts?
Amy has asked just to clarify, we can apply a discount before claiming high caps and it will discount the gap amount. Processing payment accounts whilst watching.
Sorry, I'm just going to read that. Yes, Amy, that's correct. So, yeah, you apply your discount before processing your health fund, and then the discount will then be applied to the gap.
So Aga has also asked about surcharging for credit cards.
Credit card surcharge. Yes, you can. Neil, can you just remind me, is that an item number?
Yeah. Might be best if we contact you
Yeah,
directly, Aga. Could you provide us your customer reference number and we will follow up with you. We'll go through that with you.
because I do know some terminals have surcharge in it. Okay, perfect. I'm just going to go into my invoice tab quickly, and I'm just going to discount these outstanding invoices so my account's nice and clean. So just a tip for you, if you're giving a 100% discount and you have forgotten to give it in your treatment tab, if you come to your invoice tab and highlight your invoice line, I can use this percentage button here and it will give me a 100% discount.
This will answer Will's question, who's asking about how we need to apply a discount on the next day. So that's pretty much what you're doing now.
Yeah, Will, I'm going to be going through refunds and treatment. That's all good. Okay, perfect. So let's go through how to create a deposit and how to allocate a deposit to treatment. There'll be maybe situations where you need to take a deposit for an appointment. For example, a crown. Typically, some people take a deposit at the prep appointment, and then when the patient comes back for their crown to be cemented, they then apply that discount at the cementation appointment. So in the patient's treatment, we will come to our receipt tab. And we will click new receipt. Okay. If the patient is taking, if you're taking, sorry, $100 as a deposit, I am just going to do 152.65 so I can get rid of that outstanding balance. If the patient is paying cash or card, for our example, I'll do a card payment to show you. You will select your EFTPOS e-payment. You will then select your high caps button. Sorry. You'll process the payment via card. And once the card payment has gone through, you will click create. And you will now see on the bottom right of our screen, we have a deposit of $100. Now the patients come back, we're going to process the crown. You will enter your item number here. You will enter your fee. We'll come up to our new invoice. Our high caps button to process the health fund claim. Once we have the gap amount, we will click receive payment. The system then will notify you that a deposit exists on that patient's account. You need to allocate the deposit first before you enter in the closing balance amount. So the system is telling you $800 is what the patient owes. However, it hasn't taken into account that there is a $100 deposit or credit on that patient's file. So allocating the deposit first will then deduct the amount that the deposit is off the closing balance. You will then type the closing balance amount and you will select for example, our FPOS e-payment. Once you're happy with that, we'll click High Caps, and we will then process the gap payment, and the deposit is then allocated. You'll notice now once I click Create, that deposit amount of $100 on the bottom right of the screen will now disappear because it has been allocated to that particular invoice. Okay. While I'm on this topic, I will actually go through refunds as well. However, I am going to just add one more deposit because there are two types of refunds that we can do. So let me go here and I will add a deposit of $1,000. Okay, I'll go back to my treatment and I'll just process another item. Do $500 here. I'm not going to put this one through the health fund. I'm just going to do a simple payment. And I'm just going to do cash. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so let's talk about refunds on treatment that has been performed. If for whatever reason that you need to process a refund, you'll come up to your itemized invoice within your patient details. And there is a section down the bottom here, which is new refund of payments for treatment. When I click this, everything that is highlighted in light blue allows you to give a refund. I'm going to give a refund on my 613. I will click it. If you are not going to refund the whole amount, you can overwrite this, for example, to, let's say, $500. Your payment type, if you're going to place it back onto the patient's card, you will select your FPOS e-payment, and then you will select high caps. The patient will then swipe or insert their debit card or credit card, and the refund is now successful. Once you click OK and OK, the system will then place this item code 992 refund to patient with the minus figure that you have told the system to place back onto their card. You can then write your treatment notes in here as to why the refund was processed. Okay, so you have the ability to say to the system how much you want a refund for that particular patient. So you saw that I was giving a refund on our 613, which was $1,600, but I only said to refund $500. All right. The refund, yeah, gets refunded onto their card. Now, if we are going to refund on a deposit, so if a patient has paid a little bit more and they didn't end up using that whole deposit amount on treatment, you can refund the remaining amount of money from their deposit back onto their card. So to refund a deposit, we come to our receipt tab at the top, and we will come to our receipt menu, and we will come down to new refund. All right, you can enter in how much. For this example today, I'll use my $1,000. Your payment type will be cash or card. I'm just going to select cash, and I will then click OK. And now you can see on the bottom right of my screen that deposit has now disappeared. If you were going to do card, it would disappear as well because you placed it back onto their card, and the deposit now has been cleared. Now you can leave the deposit on their file if you want, if they're coming in for extra treatment or whatever. However, there is two ways that you can do refunds. You can either refund on treatment performed, or you can refund on deposits. Okay, any questions there before I move on?
There's
No
no other questions at
questions.
the moment.
Good, all good. Thanks, guys. Perfect. Let's carry on and we'll go through our payment plan installments. So this is a good one if you are doing ortho. So I'll type, for example, my 826. Nope. I'll do 829. All right, we'll do $5,000. Now, regardless if the patient is in a health fund or not, you can apply installments. So the system can generate how much each month or every 6 weeks the patient is due to pay. All right, so coming again up to our new invoice button, I will do the health fund involved in this because I feel typically that is what happens. We'll click our high caps button. You'll process that $5,000 through the health fund. Okay, the patient is due to pay that $2,500. Now, up the top here, we can say number of installments over a period of X amount of days, weeks, fortnights, or months. You'll calculate the time frame that the patient wants to pay. However, I'm just going to say for today, I'm going to do 12 installments over 12 months. So each month for the next year, the patient needs to pay, and the system will generate how much the balance. So it calculates the 2,500 over 12 installments each month. So my 208.33. There is nothing due to pay today. The next due date is the 12th of the 9th. You do have the ability to change the due date if a patient particularly wants to pay first thing of the month. Notice here I can actually, I can overwrite to the 1st of the 9th. And I'll show you this in a better detail, but if I scroll down, okay, I will click save. So that when I come to my invoice tab over here and I highlight that invoice, you can see now my installments are there. No, Teresa, the system won't actually alert you that a payment is due. So if you feel that the patients come every 4 to 6 weeks, generate it so the due date is around that time that the patient comes in. So when you go and you place in your item codes of your ortho adjustment, for example, which I created before. So let's say next month, Phil's come in for an ortho adjustment. I created this item number called ortho. I'll write my note. Once Phil comes to the front desk and speaks to the receptionist can see that Phil has an outstanding amount of 2,500. The receptionist will then come to our receipt tab and we'll create a brand new receipt. And you can see, okay, next month, the 208.33, she will then process the payment and we'll click create. So that each month or whatever the time frame that you specified to the system will have those installments ready for you to go. So if I now jump back to my invoice tab, you can see now that when the patient came in, 208.33 was owing and we received 208.33 here. Okay, so you can manipulate the time frame, the number of installments. If some patients, if some health funds are calendar year or financial year, you can manipulate the invoice as per the patient's health fund, and then whichever the gap is, you will then be able to create those installments. Okay. Will asked, can we do payment plans for unfinished treatment plans? You can't, the way I've just shown you, yes, you can, as long as the item numbers are still sitting in your treatment plan and haven't been brought over to treatment. However, if you've already got an invoice that has been like part paid and we haven't put those payment plan installments on, you can't do it the way I showed you. The only suggestion I may have would be National Dental Plan, which is another payment plan system through Dental4Windows. Okay, questions. Nada, can we refund high caps claims? Yes, you can. I will, refund. You can, but you'll need to reverse it on the day and the patient needs to be there with their health fund card. Okay, otherwise, if you are needing to reverse the high caps claim due to a wrong item number or a wrong provider, the patient needs to be there with the card. If they've left, then you'll need to call the health fund and get them to reverse it on their end. Sorry, guys, there's just a lot of questions
Sorry,
coming
Isabella,
through.
I'll help you with the
Okay,
questions.
thanks.
Yes, yes. So we do have a question from, is it Chloe? Does this also direct debit from the patient's account? So I think what you're asking when you're setting up a treat, what Isabella has just gone through, you will manually need to direct debit from their account. So that'll have to be sorted out at your end. But no, the system won't do that for you, if that's what you're asking. Is that the way you took that one, Isabella?
Yes, I did. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming, Chloe, you're asking with the payment plan with the payment installment, sorry, which is the 208, for example,
Yep.
Dental4Windows won't be able to physically directly debit that money from the patient's bank account. That is something that you will need to do externally yourself.
Okay, so we've got one from Samina. Can we, so the invoice has installments without double clicking on it? So are you right answering this, or we can check from the debtors list. Is that what we're
can we see the invoice has installments without double clicking on it? Yeah, so
yes.
Any outstanding invoices, so any invoices that contribute to this outstanding total on the bottom right of the screen, you can also see them in your green envelope, which is where your debtors are. So any outstanding amounts. Sorry, the internet's just a bit slow today. Gosh, my debtors list is a bit big. Where's Phil?
You've got just on all due down the bottom. So all
Oh,
issued.
sorry, all issued.
Yep.
Am I blind, Kylie?
So they'll only show up when they're actually due. So.
Oh, sorry, because I allocated the payment for next month. Apologies.
That's correct. Yes. So, and you can also check that from the patient's invoice as well.
Yeah, which is where I was before.
Which Isabella was there before. Okay, so I've got another question here. Does this replace Afterpay, or do they have to come in to pay? So I think this is just working out a payment plan. So it's not going to take any money from the patient's accounts, or you will manually need to process all of these payments yourself. So no, it doesn't replace Afterpay or anything like that. If your patient, if you are using Afterpay at your practice, then you will still, Afterpay, you just process that through your
externally.
Terminal. Yeah, that's fine. As Isabella also mentioned, we do have a national dental plan, where it's through a company that we're partnered with, Hum, and you can actually sign them up for that as well. We do run webinars on National Dental Plan as well, and you get your money up front.
Just touching on these payment plans. So just to clarify, and Kylie did mention that before, this is purely for the system just calculating over a specific time period how much the patient is owed to pay physically to you at the practice. Like, I know a lot of practices have Afterpay, Zip Pay, like there's so many, Denticare and all of that. If you are claiming externally for any money for a particular patient for treatment, once the money has been received in your bank account, okay, you will then need to, I'm just going to show you this to make it a bit more realistic. So let's just say the patient's coming for a crown, okay, the invoice amount is $1,600. Now you've externally got the patient to get that money, okay, and set it up. You will then come to your new invoice. All right, and we're going to click create because the patient is not paying that total amount today. Now, whatever the agreement is, for example, with Denticare, once the money is received in your bank account, okay, you'll need to check that. If, for example, on a monthly basis, you're getting paid $200, you will come to your receipts and you will then allocate manually that $200 to that outstanding invoice. Okay, don't get confused because I set up the payment plans before for our other example. Realistically, you'll just see that one invoice line of the $1,600, and then that is when you'll go and you'll allocate that $200 each month or whenever you get paid as the agreement to that patient's invoice. Okay, Kylie,
Thank
would you
you. I
explain
do.
it better, or is that?
No,
Yeah.
that is fine. We do have another question, which is I think we're managing chats and questions here today. So from will the system alert us if a patient that the payment is due? Okay, so what I could suggest to you is if you do have a lot of people or you're interested in setting up these payment plans, what you can do is set up an alert on the patient's file. So I'll get you to go into the patient's file and we're just going to create an alert. So we'll set it so it comes up monthly.
Yep.
I'm just thinking along that. So just go, yep, perfect, history. And there's in your alerts down the bottom. So this is one way. See how we've got, you can put this in as general, whatever you want to, you can make one up for payments where it will notify. So let's just put general in there. Yeah, perfect. Go the whole hog, Isa. Show them how to do that. So payment due, save. Yep. And then put a note. You can even put the installment amount in there. I think it was 203 monthly payment.
Whatever, argument's sake, we'll just do 203.
That's right. And then you can go on a particular date. You can set this up too. Okay. We can do on a date. So that will then remind them. Okay.
Then we can say display the areas. So when you're creating an appointment, checking out, checking in.
Yeah. So
really
you've got
anything.
Yeah, that option. And also let's select the bottom option as well on this date. Now this is where we can actually choose which computers we want it to show on as well. So see the different computer lists down the bottom. You can select, because some people might say, oh, we don't want it popping up on all the computers. You can actually select the computer that you want this to show up. So it might be reception 1, reception 2, and then you can put in a date in there.
Perfect.
So that's just a little suggestion. Okay, perfect. Does the alert come up even if you don't? Yes, it does. So we do have another question. So notice it, does the alert come up even if you don't open the patient's file? Yes, that alert will come up on that particular day at that time for that computer. Perfect. Okay, let me just get rid of these ones. Okay, so we do have a night series. Okay, so is there any way to do payment plans, unfinished treatments? I think, did we answer that one already, did we?
Yeah, Will. So Will's asking, is there a way to do a payment plan for an unfinished treatment plan? So you can do it a few ways. So you can do it the way that I showed you initially by doing the time frame. So how many installments over days, weeks, fortnights, or months, as long as the item numbers are sitting in your treatment plan, you can bring them over to treatment. That's it, because if they're in their treatment plan, that means they haven't been completed, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Yep.
If we go back into treatment plan.
Yeah, I'm here now. Or you mean
I'm
treatment?
sorry. No, treatment plan. And just pop in a couple of item codes for me.
Sorry, guys, I clicked it.
It's always the way.
It's all right. I'll just do a clean, for example. Okay.
Okay, so we should be good. Let's go back up to treatment plan. And we should be able to. No, we're creating another one. What we might do is reach out to you, Will, and we might go through a few other options with you. We've got your item, we've got your customer reference number. So let's just, we'll reach out to you and discuss a few options for you. Perfect. I think that is it. Do you still have anything else to cover for today?
No, actually, I'm just looking at my list that I wanted to go through.
Not a problem. Okay, so
what I might do while we've got a bit of time.
Yep, sure. Neil.
I'll just go through adding a surcharge for credit card payments, for example.
Do you want to share your screen, Neil?
So I'll just share my screen. So to set this up, first of all, we need to go into Location Setup and we go into the Items tab. We need to set up an item for credit card surcharge. You should already have an item in there called SCC. So if I go into miscellaneous, we have one here called CCS. What we need to do is under the financial details here, we tick use for surcharge. Then what we need to do is we come into system tables and we look at the system tables methods of payment. What we do then is we select the payment type that we want to apply that surcharge to. On the right-hand side here, we choose surcharge item. And here you would choose the item number. Then you put in the amount that is being charged. So what happens now when you come into treatment? When we create the invoice and a receipt, when you enter in the amount and you select that payment method, so we're going to say EFT debit card, you will get this. Payment method has a 5% surcharge. The payment amount will be $38.59, including the surcharge. So when you click yes, you will now see it's automatically updated it to $38.59 and it's added a surcharge here. So that now you can then process the payment and that will include the surcharge. And that's how you set up a surcharge for payment methods. Does anyone have any questions regarding that?
We do have a question, Neil, but I did actually post the link for the surcharge. And if you don't mind just showing us showing where they can find that on our e-support, Neil, that would be great.
Okay. So what we do is we go into e-support. So we go help. So I'll just cancel that. We go help, and we come down to e-support. So I'm just bringing that up. So this is e-support. So if we come down, we can go into here and type in surcharge. And you can see we have add surcharge to payment methods. When I click on that, there we have our article on how to set up the surcharge. And what we'll do is we'll put that into the chat for everybody to see. So everybody should now be able to see that. Okay.
Neil, just while you're sharing your screen, there is some more questions. Refund with a surcharge. So Arga, if you're refunding with a surcharge, the refund amount will be included because that was the total amount that the patient paid.
Correct.
Okay, so the surcharge is included in that gap or total payment that they've paid. So that will get refunded back to them. We will send all these e-support links in our follow-up email. So don't worry too much if you've lost it. That'll all come together when we send the recording for the webinar.
So Niranjan has asked, is there a separate surcharge for Amex? So yes, what you can do, you can either use that SCC code or you can create another item called Amex.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the system tables, if you have an Amex, you can use that in here. And so that way it'll record a different surcharge for Amex as opposed to regular credit cards. And we will share other e-support articles, as Isabella mentioned.
Perfect. Sylvia sorry to ask about deposits again. We have multiple dentists. How do we make sure the deposit goes to the right provider, and how do we reconcile the deposit?
So when you're creating a deposit, when you're creating a receipt, down here, we have send unapplied deposit amount to the following. This is where you would put which provider will hold the deposit. By default, this is the patient's main provider. But you can select in here to make sure that it goes to the correct provider.
Or the principal dentist or the business owner.
Yes. And when you apply the deposit, it will then take it from that provider and apply it to the treating provider.
And Sylvia, this is getting sort of into reports. The way you'd reconcile it is by running your first report, your accounting invoices and receipts over a period. This will then, I really don't want to get too much into it, but this will exclude any deposits sitting on the patient's file. And once the deposit has been allocated to the provider that's been doing the treatment, that is then applied to the receipt, and that's how you pay them.
There's also a couple of other reports that you can run.
Mm-hmm.
You can run the unallocated deposits report. So this will give you a rundown of any deposits that are currently outstanding, so they're in green in the patient's record. There is also another report called the allocated deposits report, or deposit allocation report. This is a report of deposits that have been applied to an invoice, and that's how you would reconcile those.
Perfect.
So Tanya has asked, what happens if we change the provider after the fact? So if you need to change the provider, and again, we can send you the e-support articles to do this, you do need to reverse all the transactions. So you do need to reverse the receipt, claim, if applicable, invoice, change the provider in the treatment and recreate the invoice and payment. And then it will take it up.
Okay. Abhijit asked, can we know about DVA payments? We'll reach out to you, Abhijit. Maybe that's something that we can do a one-on-one session about. Okay.
And Will has asked fees transfer between dentists. So I'm not quite sure what you're asking there, Will. If you could elaborate for me, please.
I think he's asking if some providers charge their own fees compared to a standard fee level.
If that is the case, we do have provider fee level, which we would need to, redo patient.
Redoing patients.
Okay. What we'll do, I can send you the link. We do have e-support articles on redo. What we'll do, we'll send you through the e-support link on how to do that. There is a procedure to do that. So Samina has asked, is there any specific way to charge community vouchers? We'll be in touch for that one as well.
Beautiful. Very good, guys. I'm loving the questions. And I hope that everything was super informative and you've taken away some little tips and tricks, or everything's a bit more clarified for you all. I think we're good, Neil. Thank you. And thanks,
All right.
Kylie.
So just to show you our resources, this is our e-support where I was just on. And of course, we've got our website. And also we have email, which you can email our support department, or you can contact the support department directly by phone if necessary.
And I just wanted to say something before we go. If you guys, we've just got a couple of minutes. If you want to type in what you would like us in the training department, what you'd like to see an upcoming webinar about. I can see we've got a lot of questions today about, more in-depth sort of reporting and things like that. But if anyone has got any suggestions, please type in now and we will look at that. We don't have a poll, do we, Neil? No. Even put it in the chat. So if you guys would like to type in the chat what you would like to see the training department do a webinar on, or something, you would like us to go over, please do that. Awesome. Keep it coming.
Okay, so we can see Will has asked about plug-in sterilisation and stock control.
Yep.
And Preeti has asked about laboratory costs.
And some recalls in there as well. People wanting to know about recalls. More on payment types, please. Perfect. Oh, that's awesome, guys. Lab costs as well. Perfect. Gives us a little bit to work with. Okay, for recalls as well. So we might actually do something on recalls, Isa and Neil. So just to, oh, this is awesome, guys. Thank you. Okay, over to you, Neil. Sorry.
Well, thank you, everybody. I hope you found this informative. And we will see you in the next webinar.
Yes, thanks, guys. Have a great afternoon.
Bye.
Yes, you will receive a recording of this today.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.